Hey, lovebirds out there. This is Annie Callis here, your relationship architect. And today I want to talk to you about something very, very important. Something that I hear everywhere I go and from the mouths of so many people. It's ridiculous. I think this has just become the big word of the century. Guilt. People live in guilt all the time. Guilty for not spending enough time with the children. Guilty for eating that cake. Guilty for having the extra glass of wine. Guilty for having a bath and not doing housework. Guilty for having too much ironing and the house and your role of a housewife not being fulfilled. Guilty for coming home from work being really tired because you just run a company or you just worked really hard physically and all you want to do is sit down on a couch, watch a bit of telly, and you feel guilty. And most of all, a lot of guilt when people argue in their intimate relationships. They feel guilty because they pointed a finger, because they blamed the other person, guilty because they were yelling, because they don't want to yell, because I love the person, I love him, I love her. But I feel so guilty, but something went wrong. But people don't understand what guilt means. And a lot of them, when there's relationships, broken relationships or relationships where there's a lot of arguments, the people step away and they go, but I should have known that. But how do you know something that you don't know? Because you don't even know that you don't know. Play on words over here. But seriously, how are you supposed to know something if you actually don't know it? So the experience must happen for you to actually know it. And one of the key things for me, especially when I work with my clients, they come in with a lot of words and I just go, do you understand what that word means? So we always look it up in a dictionary. So words are very important. Comprehending what a word means, it's important because sometimes we take on the meaning of many words that somebody else told us what it means, but it might not actually mean that. So I highly recommend that you go to a dictionary if you don't understand something and first of all look up the meaning of a word. So what did I do before I did this video? I went off and I did a little bit of research and I came up with some things. So I typed up some things, but I can't remember all of this, so I'm going to read some of it, okay? Is that good with everybody? Say yes in the comments box below. Good. Thank you. So guilt is the fact or state of having committed a crime or a violation. It also means a feeling of responsibility or remorse for some offense, whatever that is, or wrongdoing, whether it's real or imagined. Number 3, it's a conduct involving the commission of such wrongdoings. So people live a life of guilt because they feel that they kept on doing something wrong. It could really be only in their imagination, but they're living this life of just always feeling guilty. And then the last one, the big one, is the guilt trip. The guilt trip is a good way to get someone to do something for you out of a sense of obligation. And that's often followed by an out or an into. Now let me explain this to you. So, for example, she totally guilted me out of going. He guilted me into picking up the tab. So it's guilting somebody into or out of doing something. So I'll talk about this a little bit later. So people experience guilt because they are convinced they caused harm. The emotion, this guilty emotion follows directly from the thought that you are responsible for what happened to this other individual. Responsibility is key here. So whether or not it's the case, for some reason, most people feel that they are responsible for whatever is happening to this other person. Well, unless you actually really hit somebody, then you should be feeling guilty because you did it. But other than that, in most situations, people feel guilty for things that happen to another. So let me give you an example. Long time ago, I called somebody and they were driving and they picked up the phone and they were holding the phone. They got pulled over by the cops and they got a fine. Now, I felt guilty. I felt guilty because I made the phone call. So now they got a fine because of me. Well, was it really my fault? Put down in the comments box below, do you think it was my fault? Yes or no? Right? I'll get back to it later, hopefully, if I don't forget, right? So these negative emotions follows from the tendency to misinterpret what happens to them and not to question the logic of their conclusions. Now, in the research, what I found is there's 5 different causes of guilt. So the first one is guilt for something that you did. So if you feel guilty, then you can do something about it. But yes, the guilt comes, then you go and you fix it. Take responsibility and you fix it. Number 2 is guilt for something that you didn't do, but you want to do. Now that's simply a thought that you want to do something, but you feel really guilty. So that's another guilt, right? Number 3 is guilt for something that you think you did. How many times you sit there and you go, I'm sure I did that. I'm sure I did that. Oh my God, did I really do that? How many of you relate? Have you been in that situation? If you have, say, been there, right? Number 4, now this is a big one. Guilt that you didn't do enough to help another person. How much can you do? When is enough enough? Where does this guilt come from that you feel that you haven't done enough? Feel me? And then cause number 5 is the guilt that you're doing better than somebody else. Sometimes we stop ourselves from being the bigger, better ourselves, for going after our dreams because we might offend somebody. Stop it. Don't be guilty about it. Be joyous that you have the drive to go and do what you have to do. Let somebody else concern themselves with whether they like it or not. It's up to you to do what you want to do. However, what's the source of all of this? Where is all of this coming from, this feeling of guilt? So overall, the feeling of guilt comes from an underlying feeling of low self-worth and self-criticism. It actually has nothing to do with your accomplishments, because you never think about your accomplishments. You look at what you didn't do or what you don't know, and then you criticize yourself about it, and you put yourself down, and you don't have any value of yourself because you don't know. Well, again, as I mentioned before, it probably can come back from something that's happened in childhood when your dominant parent always made you feel guilty for not doing something. So they guilt you into doing the actions that they benefited from, right? How many of you have experienced that? I know I have experienced it almost all my life with my parents. There was always some reason why I didn't do something good. And I always sat there thinking, but I didn't know, but I should have, because if I would have known, then the end result would have been better for them. How about me? How about you? Right? Do you relate? So how do you get over this? Okay? First of all, don't retreat into productivity, because that's what you did when you were younger. You were always productive. You're always doing to please, to get the acknowledgement. And if you didn't get the acknowledgement, you kept on wondering, but I've done everything. Clearly, I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I don't know how to do that. That means that I'm lacking in something. Really? Sounds familiar? Yeah, I know, we've all been there, right? So don't retreat into productivity. What you got to do is keep on doing everything in your power to prove that you are a worthy person. No more self-criticism. So I've got 6 steps here that if you follow and if you're aware of and you start to practice, you're going to feel guilty less and less and less. Are you interested? If you're interested, say yes. Come on, say yes. Now, I know this is not a live video, so I don't know if you say yes, but I'll watch your comments later. Please respond as I'm asking you the questions. And if you have anything to say about the subject, do so. Okay? So, ooh, my computer's moving. There you go. So, number 1, eliminate destructive self-criticism from your thoughts and conversations. Things that you don't want it to be true. If you keep saying to yourself that you're not smart enough, you're going to live into that. So eliminate destructive self-criticism. Now, how can you do that? Well, first of all, you can start saying things to yourself like, I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. And you can do it in a few different moods. You can say it angry. I like myself. Well, that doesn't really work. Do you like yourself? Or embarrassed. I like myself. Well, if you're embarrassed, then it's never going to work, right? So go through different moods, get into the happy. I like myself. I like myself. And all of a sudden, your mood is going to change, and you're going to start feeling that you like yourself. So you're not going to have any negative thoughts, and you're not going to criticize yourself anymore, because you are going to like yourself. So that's number 1. Number 2, do not allow someone to say something destructive about you, as your subconscious is going to start believing it if they keep on saying it, right? And you will be accepting that about yourself, and you're going to set yourself up for failure, because they're going to keep on telling you, and you're not going to go and do anything. You're not going to go follow your dreams, and you're not going to behave the way you feel that you want to behave, because somebody else is telling you that's not so. So put a stop to it by saying this: I would appreciate it if you would not speak to me like that, because it's not true. Okay? Number 3, refuse to blame anyone for anything, accept full responsibility for your life. And I might do another video. Now, I will. I'm going to do another video in a couple of weeks about responsibility. It's a really good one. So refuse to blame other people. You've got to take responsibility for your actions, your thoughts, and your emotions, because you're the one that's creating them. Nobody's creating them for you. Okay? Number 4, refuse to be manipulated by the guilt-throwing behavior of others. Never sacrifice your emotional integrity by allowing someone to make you feel guilty, because this is the only way they know how to communicate to you. So your job is to recognize it and call them on it direct. Say something like this: are you trying to make me feel guilty? You must find a different way to communicate, as this is not going to work. A lot of people throw things at you, and you sit there and you take it on. They got to find another way. And that's up to you to call them on it, and it is up to you to ask. If you don't ask, you don't get. You know that one, right? Number 5, don't pass on other people's negativity. When people gossip, don't get caught in it, as they are stealing other people's reputation. Is that what you want to do? Is to steal other people's reputation when you gossip? Catch yourself. As human beings, we gossip. It's just natural. We all gossip. I gossip, but I become present to what I'm doing, and I stop, because I don't really want to talk bad about others, because then I feel guilty. Because what you say about somebody behind their back, you should be able to say to their face. And I don't want to feel guilty about that. And I have experienced that over and over and over. I gossiped. And even now, sometimes I catch myself gossiping, and I don't like myself when I do that. So I'm practicing stopping all of that and not being judgmental of other people. And that way, I'm not negative. I don't push negativity onto others, and I don't join in other people's negativity when they talk about others. I just keep quiet. So love in this case is the answer. Come from a place of love and an understanding that another individual are doing the best that they can, and if that's the best that there is, then they should accept that, because love is acceptance and forgiveness. Acceptance of an individual being how they are. And when you accept somebody, you are not in guilt anymore. How's that one? And the last one, number 6, is forgiveness. And forgive and do it early. Because when you forgive, there's no more guilt. And do it early. Don't wait. Because the longer you wait, the longer it's eating you up. Do you want it to eat you up? Not really. How many of you like that feeling of ugh, right? I sure don't. And that feeling of burning and the knot in the stomach. I don't like it. Do you? Tell me, do you like it? Put in a comments box below. No, I don't like it. Okay. It doesn't mean that you must like the person, by the way. The person that you're forgiving or what they've done. But as I said before, they're doing the best they can. So all it is come from a place of understanding something is going on for them and just forgive what's happened. However, by forgiving, you are getting rid of the biggest emotion of guilt, and then you will feel free. So I hope this was informative. I hope this has helped in some shape or form. I hope that you got a few tips on how to overcome it, how to build yourself up to not feel guilty, because then you feel free, then you can breathe because you don't carry that guilt around. Because you know what? You do the best you can. You spend as much time as you can with your children. What's important is when you spend time with them, it's like really awesome and everybody has a good time. And have that bath and enjoy the bubbles and relax because you deserve it. You don't need to feel guilty about it. And have that glass of wine. You know, you might need to do another rep at the gym, but you know what? Enjoy it. Don't feel guilty. Life is there to be lived and enjoyed, not to be lived in guilt for things that you should be or shouldn't be doing because it's somebody else's perspective. You create your life. You live it the way you want to, and fall in love with yourself. Now, if you have any more questions about this subject, if you want to discuss this more, put it in the comments box below and let's start a conversation so we can help other people deal with this emotion. Now, if you like it to be a little bit more private, you can private message me and I'll be happy to answer. Okay? So have a wonderful evening, wonderful day, wherever you are. This is Annie Callis here, your relationship architect, helping you get over your resentment and pain in your relationship by discovering your own freedoms, your own brilliance, so then you can bring back passion and romance into your life and have the delicious relationships you always wanted. Bye for now. Till next time. Love ya. Bye.